Had done the value save in file yesterday, as you can see on my screen, and we had written code to save the value within the file. So yesterday what we had done, we created just a file with given name. So what is the name of the file that we are passing from here? But where it was stored in the bin folder. So if we want to store our file within given folder name, then how we do? So there is a way to store your file. Let's say I want to store in a folder my files within bin folder. We want to create a folder in the name of my files. We have a my files folder and we want to store within that. So for that I had created a one string with this @ string. So if I will do like this, you can see now we have error. So there is two way to store this kind of slash within this inverted double quote. Either we can do the escape sequence. If you remember your C++, to escape certain character, if we type again slash, then one will be escaped. So either we can do in this way, or we can remove this one and we add the rate just before the double quote, and now it understand that this is the uh, string now. And to store the file, remember for the desktop application or WinForm, we have to use this forward slash. But at the time when we start working for web, we have to use this forward slash and this one is the backward slash. So for now we are working for WinForm, we will use this backward slash. And this dot is actually used for the information like from the current directory. And this is very critical, guys. Try to understand where this will provide a current directory. But let's say if we want to go one step above, so what we can do with double dot, if we do, what it does, it will take our uh, folder structure one step back, similar to this one. Let's say I am here now. So let's say with single dot we are here. If we do the double dot, we get one step back here. And if we want to go one step more, then what we can do? We do like this. So this is the way providing your path just backward. But for now, we want to go within the bin directory with this file name. Now we have a path. So this folder is not exist currently within our this folder. Let's check first. So I'm going to explore with the file explorer. So in file explorer is if you go inside the bin and within debug folder, we not have a file of this name. What is the name? My files. So there is no folder in the name of my files. So if folder is not exist and if we try to store within that something, we get little bit error. So let's check what error will occur. So before moving before using this, what we can do, we need this path over here. So let's say I will say string str equals this. Now what we have to do, we have to append our file name. So what we can do, plus this file name. And what we need to add? Nothing need to add because we already added a slash over here. So whatever comes, just append exception. So these kind of things you guys also have to care when you do the coding. You need to understand what line is doing what. So now we have a string over here. If we do the step over, we'll get the exception. And what is the exception? Exception is something like this. This path is not exist within this. So to handle this kind of thing, what we can do, we can add few line code so that we can correct it well. So how we do it, we can do in this way. There is a, in this line, what we are doing, we are calling this method, which is the previous one. We are storing that path over here. And now we are checking whether this folder is exist or not. If it's not exist, then create that folder with that path. And then if it is exist, then the compiler will directly come over here. If not exist, it will create and then come again. Now with that path, we'll add our file name and we supply this value within this. And now if we run, we will be able to write our file within the given folder. So when we press save, look now final output is like this. And if we do the run, definitely we are getting the file is created within the folder that stored a message box. Now if we go in our folder, now we have a my files folder and within that we have a our text file, similar one like yesterday. So this is the way, and this is the directory inbuilt class in C#. To use this, you have to include the namespace, and these namespace are available in system.io. But you can see we had not included that over here. But again, we are able to use it. So how it's coming, slowly we learn that, but this is the inbuilt class from the system.io. So we are using that directory, very similar to this file class. So file class is used for the file operation and directory is the for the directory creation, deletion, and checking whether the directories exist or not, similar kind of operation. If you press the dot, you will see a lot of things over here. What is happening over here? Why we are not getting the intelligence? Create directory, delete. So if you want to try delete and you do the something kind this, you will find it is asking for the path. So if you want to delete any directory, just provide the path, it will delete it. So very easy way, just use this class for your operation for the directory and the file. Now, what we learned till now, we are able to provide the path, and with that path, we are creating the file. So the scope of this file creation is over now. There are few more things that we can do, like there is a path.combine method. So what it does, what we had done over here, we had done things manually, but path.combine will provide an inbuilt function. Within that, we can provide a, let's try it. There's path.combine. And with the combine, let's see what we have. We have a one starting the root path, and then with which we want to join, and then finally we need to provide the file name that we want to add in it. So this is the complete syntax for the part.combine form. We can do little bit more things like designing kind of thing. Let me show you a small thing so that tomorrow if you want to work with this win form, you can do it. There is a panel. So panel is basically a container which will provide you a little bit of good interface and collection of things like I want to just place it in within this panel. So if I now had kept everything within this one, so you can see a little bit border is coming over here. And if I have to move or change anything, I can do the operation in the bulk with this one. So it is nothing but just provide a shape little bit better and designing things little bit better way. So there are so many controls, guys. Slowly you learn, but why I had shown you a panel like look, the designing convention like this is not the good way to design. So if I have to design for the production, how I will do, I will try to make the alignment little bit uh, like this. Just a second. So what I will do, I will try to align like this so that it looks like the alignment is left alignment and right alignment is done properly. So these are the things we have to care when we are designing the forms. But for now, today our plan is to store our data within the database. So if we have to store our data in database, what we need, the first thing that we need is we need a database installed in our system, right? So once we have a database installed within our system, we need something that allows us to connect with our database. And after connecting with our database, we need something that will provide to do the operation within the database from our this C# code, or we can say from this our Windows application. So for that, there is one way very similar to writing a file. We can write all code within this line, this place, or we can separate the code so that the database code is totally separated and we just call that class and create the object and we do the save. So very similar to the file management, today we are going to add one more project for the database layer. So add new project, and basically it's a class library. And remember, we need to have this icon, C# icon, not C++ icon. So today, as it is for the database operation, I will say the name of the project is something we can say business layer or data layer. So someone will say database layer. So let's make it for now. Let's make it data layer for simplicity for now. So I created a project as the name data layer and just creating it. So class is finally created, and every time we create a class, we get this class one, just delete it. Now we need to add one class. So I'm going to add a class, and the name of the class is very similar to our previous one. I'm just trying to copy the name of this employee, and within this I will add a class. For the class, I will provide a name employee data provider. So once we add it, we have a class and the signature is internal for now, but I will change it to public. There is a little bit meaning for the internal. We'll discuss later on when we learn inheritance. So I just skipped for now little bit of OP things because once you know little bit and while coding, I will show you what is inheritance, etc. So now we have a employee data layer. So as I told you, we need a database and then we need something to do the operation within the database. And before that, we need a connection. So in SQL, in our C#, we have a class for the operation. We will say its name is SQL command. What is the name? SQL command. So how to do it? I'm just bringing few line of code so that we can finish it a little bit easier way. So I'm going to copy from somewhere. Just a second, guys. We need a class. So if I will do something like try to write over here, let's say SQL connection. So it will not understand us. So when we try this one and look the suggestion, what it is trying to say, this is not exist within your project, but if you want to work with, you can install this package. So to install the package, we can choose this option, install with package manager. So, or we can go directly with this one, or we can go like from here, if we try, there is manage NuGet packages, manage NuGet packages. So from here we can directly do, or we can use this suggestion that Visual Studio is suggesting us. So if I will click over here, it will open the same window that we just seen from the right click from the Solution Explorer. So this is the library system.data.sql client. It is used to do the operation with the database for the SQL server. So I'm just going to install it. Remember, this is from the Microsoft. So when you install, please check who is the creator. There are so many very similars, but we need this from the Microsoft. So read the name who is maintaining this one. So by Microsoft, and we are installing it. So when we press install and we say OK, and after this, there is a license term. So we will say I accept the agreement. So after doing this, now it's ready in our packages. So within our packages, if I will go in the dependency, I will expand it. So in the packages, you can see system.data.sql client is available. Now, if I will again try to write this one and go over here and say using this one, now the color is changed. So now, till now, what we had done, we added the package to do the operation with the database. But this is only for the collection. We need to do operation for the database. So we need to open the connection and we need to do the operation within the database. So for that, what we can do, actually I had tried few lines. So I will copy from there and try to explain you guys. So let's copy everything over here. And we will try to understand these lines. So we got a lot of errors. Why so? We also need to understand. Oh, sorry. What happened? Actually, I need to first create at least one method to paste the code. So what I will do, I will create a one method public, and void I'm not going to return anything for now. Add employee. So with this method, what I want to do, I want to paste this code. So within this code, before writing this one, first try to understand this try catch block. So whatever we want to run the code, we put within this try block, and if any exception happen, this block will be fired. Why we are trying to use this try catch block? Because we are going to connect the database which is outside from our application. So there may be the lot of things that can happen when we try to do the database operation. Maybe the connection string is wrong, maybe username password is expired, or the database itself down. So while connecting, if the problem occurs, at least our system, our software will not go to the crashing condition. So to handle that, we will try to add try and then catch. So whatever we want to run within this, what we want to try, we want a connection string. So I'm just created a connection string variable, and what I'm doing, I'm trying to do uh, write a connection string. So this is the special format to write a connection string for the SQL server. And for the integrated security model, like whatever is the username password is used for the Windows, it will use that one. There is other way to write the connection string for the like a username password with SQL authentication. But for now, we will use this automatic connection model. So I'm just created a connection string. So in the data source, we'll provide the database name. So let me open my SQL Management Studio so that I can show you from where I had created this value. So if you open your SQL Server Management Studio, always remember this server name. You have to copy this one within this in the data source. And what is your database name? You will provide over here. So yesterday we had created a database user management. I have pasted over here. So if I will try to connect with my SQL server, we can see we have a one database that we started created. The database name is user management. And we have yesterday we also created a one table, that is employee table. And within that employee table, we have a three column. One is ID and first name, last name. And we have three values for now. Yesterday I had shown you how to add value within the table as well manually, right? Today we will add one more value from our application that we have just created. So we have a table ready. So for that table, what we had done over here, we have a syntax called using. So the benefit of doing this using one, like whatever we do within this one scope, everything will be collapsed just after this execution goes outside from this line. So we not have to worry whether my connection is closed or not, because we had created a connection and we are using. So if I'm opening the connection, it's fine, but we have to close the connection as well. Little bit different way. But for now, as we are focusing just for the how to do the store in database. So here I'm just created a using a class SQL connection, a variable called connection. So within that connection, this is parameterized constructor. So we are supplying the connection string from here. So you know how we created, right? Previously, parameterized constructor. So this is one way, or we can provide SQL connection string equals the same value that we have over here. So this is using our parameterized constructor. We can do like this also. So both values are same. So we are using SQL connection now. And after we have a proper connection now, right, insert into table name, and then what is your values? You'll supply the value, you can add it. If you have to select all from this table, like we had written over here, select, and we can say like for all we have a syntax called star, select all from uh, table name only we have right. And this DBO is something different. We will learn little bit later. For now, just try to understand anything. If you're writing a table name, etc., it's better to add a DBO in front of them, because this will help you little bit later. I'll explain them later. So if I will execute this query, it will what is it going to return us? The same output that we had got the previously. So for selection, this is the query. For insert, I just had shown you, and there is also for the update, or we can say edit. So, and we have a delete operation. So these are the operations that you do. What are the operations? We insert a record, we do the edit on the record, we do the delete on the record, we do the selection on the record. So these are the operations that you do in the database. So for now, we are trying to store only. So I had written insert into this. So currently I had done the hard code of this value, but actually we want this value from our form. So what we can do, we can bring that value over here. So remember, we have a class that is we created for employee. So there is two way we can, like, let's try the simple one, then we'll bring with object. So string, we will say first name, and do string last name. And what we do, in place of this one, we will add this, and in place of this, we will add this, but we need to make like this. And here we need to close this one, and we need to again do the concatenation. It's a just we have to make it the complete. Now our value is ready, first name, last name, and we also need to pass the ID, because we are we can do little bit change so that we not have to pass the ID. So let's learn in SQL Server. Yesterday we had created a database, a table with the ID, but we not set the property. Um, let's set it. Oh, sorry. We need to design it. So let's design. Within this, if we want to increment this column, what we have to do, there is an option in the identity specification, make identity equal true and auto increment by 1. So every time we add a value, the value is incremented by 1. So once we set this auto increment, it cannot be null. And we can make it primary key too if we need. So once do the right click and set as a primary key. And if we try to save, you will get, now it's trying to save. Sometime it not allowed us. So there is option to do, but it allowed finally. So now our table ID will be automatically incremented. So we not have to supply this ID field. Now we need to call this method from somewhere. So we need to add the reference of this project in our Windows form. How we do? Add project reference. What is our project name? This one is the project name, data layer. I will say OK. Now, if I will try to write something over here. So this is the line to save in the file. Now I'm going to comment it. I want to store now my data within database. So employee data provider. Now we have to use our namespace and then we create object for it. Obj equals new employee data provider. So employee data dot add emp, and what we have to supply the two names that we had created, first name and last name. So for now, let's do this way. Slowly we'll change the pattern so that you know from zero level. Remember guys, to do this operation, there is only click also option. So without writing any code, you can save in database. But with that, you will not learn anything. That is why I'm trying to show you one single quote and one over here and one over here and one over here. So proper opening and closing up, this single quote will make a syntax clear. Now let's save it and try to run. This time, hopefully, we will be able to store our data within the database. So again, try Akash Bhatta. Let's try to save it. Breakpoint. Next step. So with this, we'll do connection open. It's open. And this line will be the finally going to execute our command within the database. So you can see we have a number of rows affected one. This shows that our data is stored in database and this one will do the job. Now if we run our selection query, we have one more row within the database, Akash Bhatta. So in this way, we are able to store our data in database. We have a connection string hard coded. So if I have, let's say 10 form and 20 operation, this means that I need to write this line 20 times. So if my connection need to be changed for the production, I have to write 20 times somewhere. So in place of doing that, what I can do, I can read this value somewhere from the connection string so that it can be easily changed from the just few text file or XML file so that we not have to modify our source code. So anyhow, if we can keep this thing somewhere outside. So to do that in C# we have an option. Remember, we need to add in this Windows form, not in this library, because this is the caller. So we have to read from here. This is the DLL one. This one not have any other files. So from here, what we can do, we will go here and right click and go in add new item and search for app config file. App config file. So if you scroll down, there is called application app configuration file. If you select this one, the name is by default app.config. So for now, I'm not going to change the name. I will just add directly over here. And this is the syntax for XML. So whatever we write in configuration file, everything goes on in the form of XML. So if I have to add my connection string this in app config file, how can I do it? I will add one section called as connection string within this configuration section. So connection string, and within that I am adding a name my SQL connection. You can put any name over here and write down your connection string over here. And remember, our data provider is system.data.sql client that you just installed from the package manager. So we had given the name. Okay, this connection string is for this data provider. Now I have to read somehow. I have to read this connection string within my class. How can I do that? So within this employee data provider, to read this connection string from the configuration file, we have a special way to read it, and we have to remember it somehow, how we read it. So to read, we have a code. I will just copy paste so that it will be easier for you also. So there is called configuration manager, and for this configuration manager as well, we need package manager. So if we'll go with this, it will ask us, do you want install a package? So it's suggesting there are possible ways. We need this one because we need something that is provided by Microsoft, and we'll go install with package manager. So again, it will bring the same window, very similar to previous one. Remember system.configuration.configuration manager, and we have to install it. And the same thing appears, and we say, yes, I am agree, whatever you saying. Now it's installed. With that, let's go and what we have to do now? We have to add using. So it will suggest us this class is somewhere else. Now with this, what we can do, we can replace this hard-coded code. We not need now. We are reading from configuration file. So remember configuration manager.connection string, and this is the name that we had given in our app config file. So let's say you say SQL connection. I had added 3n. You can put any name and put that name over here. It will return a string value to this, and we are passing this value very similar to the previous one. We are not changing anything over here. With that, if we try, we'll get the same output. We can add one more row.